Daniel Dancer, the biggest miser, cheapskate and penny pincher in history. Copyright Newton Page 2019. Anecdotes of the late Daniel Dancer, Esquire, 1795. Daniel Dancer, Esquire, was a man not more remarkable for his riches than for having lived in a state of apparent extreme poverty. Though scarcely allowing himself the common necessities of life, he has left landed property to the amount of £500 a year to Dame Maria Tempest, and after her death to her only son, Sir Henry Tempest of Stoke-End, Hereford. During Dancer's last sickness, Lady Tempest accidentally called upon him, and finding him lying up to the neck in an old sack without even a shirt, remonstrated against the impropriety of his situation, when he replied that having come into the world without a shirt, he was determined to go out of it in the same manner. Requesting him to have a pillow to raise his head, he ordered his old servant to bring him a truss of hay for that purpose. His house, of which Captain Holmes, formerly of the Royal Navy, has taken possession for his sister Lady Tempest, is a most miserable building, and has not been repaired for half a century. Though poor in external appearance, it has been recently discovered to be immensely rich within, Captain Holmes having at different times found large bowls filled with guineas and half-guineas, and parcels of banknotes stuffed under the covers of old chairs. Mr. Dancer generally had his body girt with a hayband to keep together his tattered garments. The stockings he usually wore had been so frequently darned and patched that scarcely any of the original could be seen, but in dirty or cold weather they were thickly covered with ropes of hay, which served as substitutes for boots, his whole garb much resembling that of a miserable mendicant. Notwithstanding his extreme penury, Mr. Dancer possessed many praiseworthy qualities. He observed the most rigid integrity in every transaction, and was never averse to assist those of whom he entertained a good opinion, and whose embarrassments required a temporary aid, although, at the same time, it must be confessed, he did not lend his money without expecting the usual interest. We have not heard whether he has left any legacy to his faithful and only domestic, old Griffiths, who, however, has for many years past fared much better than his master, having been always indulged with whatever he chose to eat or drink, besides a good and comfortable bed to sleep on. The latter Mr. Dancer always deemed an unnecessary luxury. Mr. Dancer seems to have been the principal branch of a thrifty tree, every scion of which was of a familiar texture. He inherited a considerable property by the death of a sister, who exactly resembled him in temper. She seldom quitted her obscure residence, except on being roused by the noise of hunters and their hounds, when she would walk sally forth, armed with a pitchfork, in order to check the progress of the intruders on her brother's grounds, on which occasions she had very much the appearance of a moving bundle of rags. A brother is still living, very rich, and said to be, if possible, more penurious than the deceased.